you like to create a quiz using the Moodle? Stay with me as we will learn step by step how we can do that. My name is Dr. Suzanne Shaheen from Al Quwan University. Let's start. So the first thing, we should enter into the Moodle system. After that, I would go to the course where I would like to create the quiz. Then turn editing on. Then go where I would like to create the quiz. Let's say I would like to create it here. So I will click on Add an activity or resource. After that, I would select the option Quiz from the left side. Then click Add. So now I'm actually creating the quiz. The first thing is to decide the name of the quiz. I will call it Quiz 1. Then in the description, you can add whatever information you would like to add related to the quiz. You can mention the chapters that would be covered, how many points would be covered, their learning outcomes that are expected to be covered using this quiz, and any information that you find it suitable. And then click on the display description on course page to make this information available for the students. After that, I would decide the timing of the quiz. So the first thing, I would click on Enable and then change the timing of the quiz or decide the timing. Let's say I would conduct this quiz, let's say 25th of April 2020. After that, I would select the timing for the quiz. So let's say it would be at 1 afternoon, so I would select 13. I would also select the minutes, so if the quiz would be at 1 afternoon sharp, so I would decide the minutes to be 0. Okay, after that I would select or decide the timing for closing the quiz. So I would click on Enable and then I will select the same day for the quiz, which is 25th of April 2020, and I would change the timing where or when the quiz would be closed for the students. So if the quiz would be closed at 2 afternoon, so I would select 14. And if it's at 2 afternoon sharply, so I will select the minutes to be 0. The last option for the timing, which is very important, which is the actual timing for the quiz that would be available for each student. So let's say if I selected the timing, the time limit for each student as 30 minutes, let's say. So this means if the students start the quiz at 1 afternoon, so after 30 minutes, the quiz would be closed for that student and the attempt would be sent automatically to the lecturer. On the other hand, if the student start the quiz at, let's say, 1:15, so when the time will reach 1:45, the attempt would be closed and would be sent automatically for the lecturer. So it's very important to decide the time limit for the quiz to give actual timing for the quiz for each student according to the starting timing that they started the attempt. Here, this option is by default selected by the Moodle, and I prefer and recommend you to leave it as it is, because this means that when the student will do the attempt, after the attempt, the results would be automatically submitted to the lecturer. So I recommend you to leave this default option as it is. Okay, so we are done from the timing option. So now let's go to the grade. So here I would decide if there is any specific grade for the students to pass. If there is no such grade, so I could leave this option. But here there is very important option, which is attempt allowed. The default option by the Moodle is unlimited, and I recommend everyone using the Moodle to change this default option to make it, let's say, to 1 attempt. So by this, you will control the number of the attempts for each student. And then let's move to the second option, which is the layout. Actually, here you will decide how many questions would be appeared on each page. So you will decide, let's say, on each page, how many questions would be appeared. For me, I would love to leave it as it is, to make 1 question appears for each page. So I will leave it as it is. But here there is very important option that I recommend you to change it, which is the navigation method. The default option by the Moodle is free navigation method, but by this the student can freely move in the quiz, and if there is any chances, let's say, for cheating, so this option will not control the examination process. So I recommend everyone to change this to sequential option. So by this, the students would answer each question and would move forward to the next ones, but they will not be able to return to the previous questions. And I think this would control the examination online. Okay, so we are done from the layout. Let's move to the question behavior. Here, this option, which is by default, the shuffle within questions, I recommend you to leave this option as it is, because this means that the order of the answers, let's say in the multiple choice questions, would be changed from each student to other students. So again, this option will control the cheating option, and I recommend you to leave the default option decided by the Moodle as it is. Okay, so we are done from the question behavior. Okay, let me just, okay, here nothing important to be changed. For the review options, okay, for this option, by default, the Moodle, as you see, is clicking in all the options. So I recommend you to deselect all these options, because again, we would like to control the exams on the Moodle. So we don't want these details to be shown to the students when they are doing their attempt. So let's just deselect all these options, and then, okay, so from now going on, there is nothing here actually important to be changed. And now we are done from just framing the layout of the quiz. Okay, so now we can create each question inside the quiz. So let's click on Edit Quiz. Okay, there is here again, there is the shuffle option. Again, click on the shuffle option. Why? Because this will change the order of the questions for each student. So by each attempt, the order of the questions would be changed for each student. So again, this option will control the examination and will limit any cheating um, that can be expected from the students. And now we can create actually finally the questions for the quiz. By the way, it's difficult when you are do it for the first time, but believe me, after that you will do these steps very easily, and you will not think, you will do it just automatically. Just the first time will take some time from you, but you will get used to creating the quiz using the Moodle. Okay, so now we can create actually the first question. So let's click on add a new question. And then I will select what is the type of the question I would like to give to offer my students. So let's say I would select the true false question. So I will click add, and after that I would type here the name of the question. So I will type true false question. Okay, you may tell me, okay, by default it's mentioned that it's a true false question, but the student, because of the shuffle option, so they will not know if they are answering the true false question or what kind of a question. So each time I'm recommending everyone to again type specifically the type of the question here in the question name every time, because now when we are preparing the quiz you may mention all the true false questions directly in the same place after each other. But because of the shuffle option, the order of the questions would be changed. So the students are expected to have true false question, and then they could have multiple choice question, and then again a true false question, and so on. So the order of the questions is all the time it's mixed. So I recommend you to always mention the type of the question here in the question name, so you would make sure that the students are not confused because of the shuffle option. And then you will write the question, the true false question. So let's say, what is the capital of the UAE country? Okay, sorry. So I thought that this is multiple choice question. So let's say, sorry for that. Abu Dhabi is the capital of the UAE country. Okay, so this is the true false question. And the answer is yes. So where I would like to mention the answer here, you see the correct answer. So by default, it's false. So I will change it to true. So the Moodle, any student who would answer this question true, so the answer would be counted automatically as correct. So now I would decide the mark. So let's say 1 mark I will give this question. So I will leave it as it is, but it's up to you to decide the mark. So now I'm done with this true false question. So I will save changes, and then I'm ready to add a new question. So I will click again to the add a new question. Let's say this time I will create the multiple choice question. So here again, as I told you, every time we are recommended to remind our students what is the type of this question, to not let them be confused. Okay, and here I will mention in the question text the question, the multiple choice question. So let's say, what is the capital of the UAE country? Okay, and now after that I would mention how many points would be for this question. If it's 1 point, leave it. If you want to change it, it's up to you. And after that you will see in the answer section choice number 1. So you will decide what is the first option to answer this question, multiple choice question. Let's say I'll mention Dubai, for example. The second choice is Abu Dhabi. And the third choice, let's say Sharjah. The fourth choice is Al Qawain. Okay, here you go to the correct answer and make the grade for that answer 100%. Doing that, the Moodle would understand that this is the correct answer. And you just leave the rest choices as they are. And by this, I'm done with this question. So I will click on the Save Changes. So now I successfully created the true-false question and multiple choice question. Let's move to another type of questions. Let's say the essay question. And by the way, for me, I really prefer this kind of or this type of questions because it gives me a lot of freedom and for the students as well. But okay, it will need some timing for the grading, but it's fine as we should actually have different sort of assessment. So let's say I will just remind the students that this is an essay question, and then I will type the question. Let's say mention the 7 Emirates of the UAE country. And I will decide how many marks for this question. Let's say 2 marks. I will leave all the options as they are and then save changes. Okay, here we go. So we successfully created 3 types of questions using the Moodle. There are a lot of other choices I'm recommending all of you to explore, but this is how basically you can create different sort of questions using the Moodle. If you would like, let's say, to explore the questions again, let's see how they appears for the students just by clicking on the ad. So here how the question would be appeared for the students. So you see, you find the question and you have the options for true false question. You have here also the marks that would be calculated for that question. When you are done from reviewing the question, you just click on the X. If you would like to, let's say, explore again and make sure that everything on place on the multiple choice question. So here you have the question, you have the options for the multiple choice. You have here how many marks carried. So everything is fine. Okay, great. So like that, this is how you preview actually the questions, and from here you can decide how many marks would be calculated for that quiz. So let's say if 10 marks, so you will leave it. If let's say 20 marks, so you would change the maximum grade and you will click on save. So this is basically how we can create the quiz using the Moodle. I wish that this video was helpful. I'm recommending you to share this video with our colleagues, and I wish you all the best. Thank you for watching.